Good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting coming to you with a news alert. Rapper, music mogul, internationally famous musician Rick Ross is currently in the hospital after being found unresponsive this morning at his Florida home. According to TMZ, his lungs and heart have been taken over by a machine, which, according to TMZ, is a form of life support. So he is in a very serious situation right now, and we wanted to bring you the latest here at Right Side Broadcasting. Rick Ross found unresponsive in a hospital right now, and let me just show you the TMZ story that came out about this, the latest one. Machine takes over for heart and lungs. This was posted only about 45 minutes ago by TMZ. They say Rick Ross has been hooked up to a machine that's taking over the function of his heart and lungs, according to sources connected to the music mogul. Rick is in a Miami area hospital getting treatment in the cardiac unit, a strong sign he might have suffered a heart attack, which manifested itself as respiratory issues early Thursday morning. TMZ broke the story. Rick was rushed to a hospital after a 911 caller reported he was unresponsive and slobbing at the mouth. We're told doctors have put him on something called ECMO, or extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. It's a technique used to oxygenate his blood outside of his body before it's pumped back into the body. So he is getting... Gosh, that sounds like the lungs aren't working and there's no oxygen going into the blood. So they're having to bring the blood outside his body and then put oxygen in his blood and then pump the blood back into his body. That does not sound good. That sounds extremely serious. It's essentially a form of life support and a clear sign of how dire Rick's situation is right now. Now, early reports I had seen said maybe he has having a pneumonia or something, but this seems incredibly serious. So again, this is Rick Ross. Let me show you the Billboard article. I don't know if the Billboard article might be earlier than the TMZ one. Now, Billboard says he was hospitalized after being found unresponsive at his Florida home, as you can see right there. And they say he was hospitalized Thursday morning when police and emergency teams were called to the scene after he was found unresponsive in his Florida home. The report also states that distress and heavy breathing could be pneumonia-related, but now we're hearing he's on a machine that does the functioning of his lungs and his heart. The Davie Police Department confirmed the medical crisis to Billboard. Rose, which I assume is his real name, has is this nickname or real name? Well, we'll find that out later. Has had a long history of suffering from seizures in the past, which he credited to a lack of sleep. The dispatch record attained by Billboard says the 911 caller today noticed the MMG boss was slobbing from the mouth and nodding his head after several attempts of waking up the 42-year-old. Local police were alerted to the situation when Ross became combative with medics. So Ross became combative with medics. Police say they got involved when Fire Rescue 65 requested police to step it up, which means need to come faster in reference to a combative patient. Sergeant Leone, head of media and public relations, said that's a new sentence. Sergeant Leone said, head of media and public relations, said police officers arrived at 3:43 a.m. and cleared at 3:47 a.m. I can speculate that we didn't get involved. We didn't write a report on it. Wow, so this actually happened very early this morning. They picked him up at 3:47 a.m. this morning. But we're just getting this news now that he is on a form of life support. That only came out in the last hour. Yeah, see, so the original report from TMZ said he was being treated for respiratory issues, but now TMZ published a new report which we just saw, and you can see machine keeping him alive. So this looks more serious than initially thought. And let me just go back to this TMZ report. This is the latest report that they're saying a machine is taken over for his heart and lungs, and that the machine, you can see here, is being used to oxygenate his blood outside of his body before it's pumped back into his body. Now, I'm no medical expert, but I believe the lungs are what oxygenate the blood. You know what I can do? I can Google it. Lungs oxygenate blood. Let's see if Steve is right. Well, you know, I thought I'd get an easy answer. How about function of lungs? Oops, there we go. Oxygen enters our lungs as part of air that we breathe, obviously. It goes to the blood vessels deep in our lungs and then to all parts of our body. So the lungs are what oxygenates the blood. So it sounds like if he's having a machine that's taking the blood outside the body and then oxygenating it there and then putting it back into his body, it sounds like his lungs aren't working properly. That's not good. All right, so let me see if I can find anything more up to date on this. Give me a second. If you'd like, you can tweet me at @Lookner, at LOOKNER, and if you have any updates on this. And I'm sort of checking some different things at once here. If you reach out to me on the YouTube chat or the Periscope chat, I probably will not see it. I really only catch the tweets much faster because the YouTube chat and the Periscope chat go very fast. So let me just check a couple things here and see if there's anything new on Rick Ross in the last, say, half hour or so. Well, we have some celebrity tweets coming out about Rick Ross. Rapper Fat Joe says, 5 minutes ago, God bless my brother Rick Ross. I'm praying to the highest level. Love you, bro. Hey, I want to see if you could want to make sure the sound's half hour or so. Can you hear me? Well, we have good tweets coming out about Rick Ross. Rapper Fat. I just wanted to make sure the sound was working okay. All right, let's see what else I can find you. Fergie. Wow, a lot of celebrity tweets. Fergie, who sang the national anthem at the NBA All-Star Game a couple weeks ago, says, hang in there, boss. Working with you with one of the highlights of my career. The world has so much love for you. Prayers up for Rick Ross. So it seems like these celebrities think this is pretty serious too, because if they just thought he had pneumonia, I don't think you'd see like Fergie and Joe saying like hang in there in their tweets. So this is real serious. He is on life support. You know, we're honest here at Right Side Broadcasting. I don't know who Fonty is. Fonty is someone who I should Google Fonty, has 130,000 followers. Hey, let's Google Fonty and see who he is. He's an American rapper. That's Fonty. If I'm pronouncing it right, it could be Font for all I know. But he says, prayers up for Rick Ross, man, Christ. See if I can find anything else. A lot of upset fans, too. So here's somebody named just Lady Frocage, and she says, Rick Ross can't die. And Bag Brother Key, apparently another fan, says, damn, I hope Rick Ross pull through. So a lot of worried people out there about this. Again, let's just go back to that article. This is the latest one. This is the one. People knew he was in the hospital today, but this made it a lot more serious when TMZ reported at 5:18 Eastern that a machine has taken over for Rick Ross's heart and lungs. He was found unresponsive this morning, slobbing at the mouth, and he has a machine which is taking the blood out of his body, putting oxygen into it, which the lungs are supposed to do, and then putting the blood back into his body. That is really bad. Hey, let's look up this. Let's look up this technique. Extracorporeal, which means outside the body, membrane oxygenation. So this is what Rick Ross is having right now. ECMO is a treatment that uses a pump to circulate blood through an artificial lung back into the bloodstream of a very ill baby. Well, it's also being used for Rick Ross. The system provides heart-lung bypass support outside of the baby's body. So for babies, it's used for infants who are sick due to breathing or heart problems. The purpose is to provide enough oxygen while allowing time for the lungs and heart to rest or heal. So maybe he has some problem with his lungs and heart, some severe problem. If you have comments or if you're hearing anything new about this, give me a shout on Twitter, at Lookner, at Lookner. Let's see. Herb Field says, it's just my opinion, but I would say both heart and lungs aren't working to require that machine. Herb, I don't know. Are you a doctor? I'm not a doctor. So what is your opinion based on, Herb? Release the Memo says, prayers for Rick Ross. A life is a life. Release the Memo also says, players for Rick Ross, the boss. See if we can find anything else updated about Rick Ross, his condition. I'm seeing a bunch of posts about Rick Ross. Philip Lewis of HuffPost says, if we lose Rick Ross, 2018 is canceled. Let's see if I can get any more details about that, what happened when they found him this morning. Okay, Rolling Stone has a new article out. This came out just a few minutes ago, or at least was updated a few minutes ago. He's hospitalized after caller reported him unconscious. He was hospitalized Thursday morning. He's now connected to machines to help him breathe and assist his heart in functioning. That suggests that his heart is having problems as well as the lungs. But they say according to TMZ. Let's see here. He was hospitalized after someone in his Miami area home called 911 to report he was breathing heavy and unresponsive at around 3:30 a.m. The caller reportedly said that Ross had a history of seizures and that he or she had attempted to wake Ross, but he was slobbing at the mouth. When he came to, he was belligerent. At that point, they called the police. We heard that elsewhere. I've seen this a couple places. A family member denied the report, telling the site that Ross had not been hospitalized, but a number of sites are saying he's been hospitalized. But I did see that a family member denied the report, but we have a number of sites saying he's hospitalized. In 2011, Ross lost consciousness and suffered a seizure on a flight from Fort Lauderdale to Memphis. The plane had to make an emergency landing to save him. He also suffered a seizure on another flight around this time. A couple of weeks later, he said that the cause of the seizures was exhaustion. I would get 2 hours of sleep and keep moving, he said at the time. That has to stop. At the time, he said the doctors tested him for a battery of illnesses, including cancer, diabetes, and HIV, and gave him a clean bill of health. So these articles keep mentioning his past seizures, but it's not clear to me. Then they say, nowhere does it say that he actually had a seizure last night. So I have no idea. For all we know, the seizures that he's had in the past might be unrelated to what's going on today. It's kind of irresponsible because like half this Stolen article talks about his seizures, but we've heard no word from anyone that this is seizure related today. So they should at least say that in the article. But they don't. Hang on one sec here. One of our viewers writes in, one of his nicknames was Rosé like the wine. Grayson writes in, this is actually pretty sad news. Rick Ross is one of the few rappers I like. I'm praying for him. Here's Rick Ross's Wikipedia page, by the way. He's 42 years old. His real name is William Leonard Roberts II. They don't have his hospitalization up yet. Come on, Wikipedia, get with it. Hello to everybody watching on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Periscope. We are going to all of them right now. Hope the signal is getting out okay and that the picture is okay and everything. You can be sure to, if you want to know when we're coming on the air with these updates, subscribe to us on YouTube. Click the notifications bell when you subscribe. You can follow us on Facebook, RSBN TV. No, Facebook, we're Right Side Broadcasting. Periscope, we're RSBN TV. On Twitter, we're at RSB Network, and I am on Twitter at Lookner. I post about breaking news all the time, so if you like breaking news right as it happens, follow me on Twitter at Lookner. We are just covering this news that just came out in the last hour that Rick Ross is actually on life support in a hospital after being found unresponsive early this morning in his Florida home. And I've just been trying to get some updates here. Power 106 Radio LA just posted. Join us in sending prayers to Rick Ross, who has reportedly been placed on life support after being found unresponsive. Dave writes in, Steve, tell us more about who Rick Ross is. So I am by no means a Rick Ross expert, and I will not pretend to be one. But Rick Ross is a very well-known rapper, songwriter, and media mogul. So, for example, I won't play them because then YouTube will get incredibly mad at me. But if you were to go to YouTube and search for Rick Ross, you would find, the problem is you're getting a lot of news videos. I was going to say, search for Rick Ross music video. And he has lots of very popular videos. So here's one where he is appearing with Drake, among others. That has 100 million views. So, very well known in the hip-hop world. Hey, we got a couple donations. Thank you. Greedy Ling made a donation, said, thanks for always reporting the news. I appreciate it. You report many things the mainstream media ignores. It's awesome. RSBN is the future. Thank you for your donation. That's how we stay on the air, is your support, so we really appreciate it. Philip Shute made a donation, said, fake Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross is Freeway. I don't get that. It probably makes sense to some people out there. It doesn't make sense to me. I hope I didn't say anything offensive by repeating what Philip Shute wrote in. But Philip, thank you for the donation. We are viewer supported, so if you like our coverage, you can always go to the bottom of the YouTube chat and click on the $ sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or just go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Hopefully one day we will figure out with Periscope how to monetize our Periscope stream, but for technical reasons we can't right now. All right, let me just see if we can get anything else about Rick Ross here. Oh, Release the Memo said, how do we donate? Yes, either go to the bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the $sign, or go to at the bottom of the YouTube chat, there's a little $sign there, or Release the Memo, go to rsbn.tv/donate. Dave says, you're welcome. Dave says, thank you. You're welcome, Dave. I say you're welcome. Adam wanted me to tell a little more about Rick Ross's origin story. Let's see here. So in Wikipedia they have, he worked as a correctional officer for 18 months until his resignation. I don't think that's what you wanted me to say, Adam, though. Let's see here. He is a real, Adam says ex-correctional officer, which is true, who became rapper, who ripped off the famous drug dealer named Rick Ross. I know nothing about this. I have no idea whether it's true or false. I see this story. Rapper Rick Ross wins 10 million court battle. Hey, hold on. Rapper Rick Ross wins 10 million court battle against former drug kingpin to keep his name. The hip-hop star was challenged by Free Ray Ricky Ross, a convicted gangster who ruled the LA drugs trade in the 1980s. Ricky claimed the rapper had appropriated his name and image and filed a lawsuit against him asking for $10 million. While there was some evidence in court that Rick Ross had Ricky Ross in mind when creating his persona, Roberts admitted the drug lord's life story had grabbed him, but countered that by saying his adopted stage name was based on his high school football name of Big Boss. It was originally dismissed on the grounds of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which regards freedom of expression, among other things. Last week, an appeal trial was thrown out. Interesting. Thank you, Adam, for alerting me to that. Flying Eagle made a donation, said, thanks, Steve. Love RSBN family. Thank you, Flying Eagle. So we are covering this story. Rick Ross was found at his Florida home very early this morning, unresponsive, slobbing at the mouth. He's been taken to the hospital. He is now, according to TMZ, on a machine that's taken a form of life support. He's undergoing this procedure, ECMO, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, which takes over the function of his heart and lungs. Takes the blood outside his body, puts oxygen into the blood, and then pumps the blood back inside the body, which is very serious. So that's the latest we have on Rick Ross. Let me just make sure, too. You know, we sort of just started doing the whole Periscope thing, and I'm typing test to see if it works. Okay, I can see that. Wonderful. Looking for some more updates. iHeartRadio, the huge radio station company, says, we are praying for you, Rick Ross. Hang on one second here. Rapper Raekwon posted this, praying for my dog Rick Ross. Producer Street Runner posted this. Prayers go out to Rick Ross and his family. So I'm not seeing at the moment any more like health updates. We'll keep an eye on it here. If I hear anything while we're off the air, I'll post it on my Twitter account, which is at Lookner, at Lookner, at Lookner, so you can follow me there. Also, if you want to know when we're on the air, we come on the air at all hours with these live updates. So if you want to know when we're coming on the air to cover breaking news, again, subscribe to us on YouTube, click the notifications bell, and or follow us on Periscope. We're RSBN TV. Frankie099 on Periscope says, Inshallah, he will be fine, Ross. You can also follow us on Twitter at RSB Network. Hey, we even broadcast on Twitter now. Our videos show up on our Twitter page. That's cool. And Frankie099 also says, Inshallah, Allah will make him better. And what did I forget? Facebook, we're at Right Side Broadcasting on Facebook. Appreciate you guys making donations. We are viewer supported at Right Side Broadcasting. We try to give you an alternative to the mainstream media. We cover stories that the mainstream media doesn't cover a lot of the times. I don't think today, if you turned on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, you'd see much on this story. You might see a little bit, but I'm guessing we gave you more than them. So if you like our channel and you want to donate and support us, go to the bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. We hope, Frankie099 says, Rick Ross is a brother Muslim. Let's see. Is Rick Ross Muslim? Sorry for not knowing more about Rick Ross. Well, let's see. This one site says, while some speculate because of his beard Ross is a Muslim, this isn't the case. Ross is a Christian. But I don't know about the Hollowverse. That's a blog. Let's see. What else? What else can we find out about this question? Yahoo Answers has a discussion. Is Rick Ross Muslim or Christian? Well, I don't see an easy answer here to this question. So I'm going to say officially I don't know. And I can't tell you. Philip Shute made another donation, and Philip Shute says, check out the Joe Rogan with the real Rick Ross. Now, I can't play that for you, but maybe I can direct people towards it. Oh, the real Rick Ross? I'm confused here. So I guess there's a Joe Rogan podcast with Freeway Rick Ross, who is a community activist formerly known for his incarceration after being convicted as the kingpin of the drug empire in 1980s Los Angeles. So he was the one that some people think Rick Ross, the rapper, based his persona on. Freeway Rick Ross. Anyways, this is Freeway Rick Ross. There's Freeway Rick Ross right there. So if you want to hear a podcast with, one of our viewers says you should listen to the podcast where Joe Rogan talks to Freeway Rick Ross, who's not this Rick Ross. And you can Google that if you want. You'll find some links to that. All right, we're going to wrap up this stream right now. Thank you for joining us here at Right Side Broadcasting. If I hear any updated news, I will be sure to post it on my Twitter at Lookner. And with big news, we will come on the air again at Right Side Broadcasting. But for now, thank you all for joining us for our broadcast. We hope you all have a good evening. And importantly, we send well wishes for a speedy recovery to Rick Ross. We hope he gets better soon. He's in a very serious situation right now. We hope he gets better soon. So thank you for joining us. Oh, and last, Jeff Dillman made a donation. Thank you, Jeff. He said, I pour you have to buy the value menu. I don't know what that means, Jeff, but we appreciate your donation to Right Side Broadcasting. Okay, our thoughts are with Rick Ross. Thanks for joining us, everybody, for our coverage. And until next time, we will see you soon here at RSBN. Have a good evening.